I want to thank everybody for attending today. The meeting is now called to order. Let our records show that we do have a quorum present. We'll stand for the national and state flags. Pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the state flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you.
We have several action items today. The first item is our consent agenda, which we have one item, previous minutes from our February board meetings. Have all board members had an opportunity to look at that and get those minutes? Anybody need any additional time to review the previous minutes? Can we have a motion to accept the previous minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept.
A motion to accept.
I'll second it.
Second by Dr. Lamb. First, we've taken the minutes. I'm not taking the minutes.
Yes,
You make the motion.
Mr. Harper.
Miss Sherry is taking the
Sherry,
minutes in the
Sherry's
very
taking
back
the minutes.
there, yeah. So we may have to speak up just a little.
Okay. Sherry, did you get the motion in the second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Sign by voting aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carried. Next item is letter of resignation from board member Dr. Colin Swain. Dr. Colin Swain submitted a letter to the board, Dr. Simmons, on March 3rd, 2015. Says this letter is my official notification that I will be stepping down from the Innovation Academy School Board effective the end of April 2015 due to other professional obligations. I have so enjoyed serving on the board and will continue to be an advocate for the Innovation Academy. I also want to express my sincere gratitude to you related to your amazing leadership for the Innovation Academy. It has been a great pleasure to serve you and the entire Innovation Academy School Board as we work to advance the learning of students in the Innovation Academy. I know great things are ahead for the Innovation Academy. Sincerely, Colin Swain.
I make a motion to reject her resignation.
I'll second that. Sorry, you can't leave. Nice try.
Well, thank you.
She always spoke with conviction and confidence. And I'm really bold.
So I assume you'll have an election.
Yes, Dr. Hickey is aware of this and he will implement an election in the School of Education and Psychology. And the new person will be elected for the May meeting.
Well, I just want to thank you for all your support and dedication, and I know we'll be reaching out to you, even though you're not going to be serving on the board, for your expertise at times as well.
I look forward to continuing to work with everybody.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Budget amendments, 2014. Any budget amendments?
Yes, we have one budget amendment. We do not have enough money in function 13 for the PSP, so I increased function 41 by $4,200 and increased 13 by $4,200 to increase have enough money for the PSP.
So can you educate me and tell me what 41 and 13 are?
And PS54.
PSP is our
Professional
service provider.
Oh, 41 is general admin, and then 13 is
Staff
staff development.
So basically, this state says that when a campus did not meet standard, that they have to have a PSP assigned to them, and there's a list of approved PSPs to select from. And then there also recommends so many hours that the district, our campus invest in allowing the PSP to support them. And so basically, at this time, Dr. Charlotte Paramore, who has supported us for 2 years, supports all 3 campuses as well as the district. And so we went back and looked at her time, and we did not have enough time set aside in the budget. And so we went and recommended that we make this amendment.
It's one of those unfunded mandates.
Yeah. They used to be funded, and now it is unfunded. That's just the districts are just responsible, and there's an hourly set rate by the state and things. So it's
$5.
Motion to accept the budget amendment for PSP.
Thank you.
I'll move the motion.
We have a motion to accept by Dr. Lamb,
I'll second it.
second by Mike. Any discussion? All for, sign by voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next on the agenda is certifying superintendent to the Regional Advisory Committee. This is just a standard procedure. Dr. Simmons received a letter from the Service Center addressed to the superintendent. Please find and close the form for certifying the superintendent to the Regional Advisory Committee. And I believe it's just standard that the board certifies her from our district as a Regional Advisory Committee member. So it's standard. So we'll just need a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
We have a motion.
And I'll second.
Second by Dr. Swain. Any discussion? All in favor, sign the voting aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Same sign. Grade level schedules for the next school year.
the next agenda item is grade level schedules for the 2015-2016 school year. In your board documents, and also you received this schedule prior to the meeting. There is a tentative draft of a student schedule for the 2015-2016 school year. So if you would please turn to that. Hopefully you've had a chance to review that prior to our meeting today. And so I'm going to open it up to see if anyone has any questions regarding the schedule.
I'd like to, I guess in the last board meeting, I talked about increasing the time, and it sounded like we needed to at the secondary level. I guess, why did we increase also the 3-8 grade levels and time and day? Or why didn't we just do secondary, maybe junior high and high school?
We looked at several factors. One thing that, Dr. Lamb, that we've really started looking at is how our students are performing academically. And so we have looked at other school districts as well and comparing our students and how our students are performing. And right now we feel like we just need additional time in those content areas to support our students. We also looked at that we are serving a lot of our students through extended day already. So this really is not going to be much of a change for most of our community, because again, we are serving those students, and most of that extended day is directly tied to additional content time. And so that's an area. Another areas that we talked about is that we see there still is a culture where we're not getting the percent of students that are completing their at-home learning. Looking at each campus, and so we feel like that although we're still going to continue that model and send home assignments and do the flipped model where students are doing those things, majority of the learning will be done on campus versus in a home setting.
As you know, the Innovation Academy was started as, a way to test some different things. And this was the one thing that I've always worried about, because it goes against, having shortened days goes against all the established research on time on task, on learning. And I also, I want to say I commend the school, the district, for being brave, because when you start out something and we realize it's not working effectively, we looked at these all as research questions. So I do commend the board, the school district, for making this decision. We need to go with what the research says.
So,
And also, when we met with TEA, that was a recommendation that they made as well. We sat down with them about looking at extending the day. They were very concerned that we were meeting the needs of our students in such a short period of time, even with a flip model. We also talked about looking at having a split dismissal where you would dismiss elementary and then you would extend for the secondary. We feel like that's going to be a conflict as well with families that are having students. We feel like that those families that have several children, and some in secondary and some in elementary, that we would probably be left with those elementary students to serve anyway, because they're going to need, most parents are not going to want to make 2 trips. And being as small as we are, it's very hard to try to do 2 dismissals at different times and things like that. So those were all factors that we looked into. But I think the biggest factor we looked at is just having that additional instructional time with our students.
So I looked at Index 4 which is the college readiness indicator. And if you look at our comparison groups, and Jacqueline,
It's right there.
do you have that data? I think we were, so Longview and Tyler in the same comparison group. And the state average on the college readiness index is right at 44%.
44, 45.
And what was our number?
16.
16. And
That's
so,
from last year's data?
and so if you look at our comparison group, we are, Longview was dead last. There was a school in between us, and then Tyler. And even though Palestine is distinguished, they were also dead last on the college readiness indicator. And if you look at, if we're really going to get kids ready to pass their TSI by 10th grade, what we're doing now is we're doing enough to get past Index 1, 2, and 3. And the bright kids are doing Index 4 on their own. And I mean, that's an oversimplification of the data. But my concern is Index 4. If we're going to have kids, get to go to college as juniors right now, we have very few on track to be able to do that.
We're using last year's data. Are we not showing improvement this year?
We are, but Index, on the benchmark, where's Brian? Do you remember what Index 4 calculated to?
It was right along where we fell last year, so it was right around 16 or 17, somewhere in there. So I mean, I'm sure that will go. Yeah, I'm sure that will go up, Dr. Lamb. But again, 44 is state average. We're well below that.
Now, Index 1 has gone up a lot. So like in reading,
Right, but our index.
the
4 is
benchmark was
not.
right in the 80s, which is right on par with every district and better than a lot of locals. Math, we're still below state average, but still significantly higher than we were last year. But math's also a tough one this year because they changed the teach on us. And then Index 3, that's the individual groups. We have one, this year we will have 2 subgroups in the district,
ECD,
ECD
Hispanic.
and Hispanics. And we got to make sure those kids perform. And part of that performance on them, they're kind of held to a higher standard than regular kids because you have to have a number of them on Index 4. You
have to have it. Those students have to be advanced on 2 or more of the test in order to meet Index 3. So a ECD student that's classified as ECD has to basically get advanced performance on like a math and their reading test in order for us to get points in Index 3. So same thing as our Hispanic group. So not only those students have to pass, a certain group of those students have to perform at advanced.
at a higher level. And so if you look, if you go in and if you did walkthroughs, just from your teacher ed hat, we're doing the basics, and that's all we have time to do. So
Basics in terms of what we're covering.
just getting everybody to meet Index 1 on achievement.
I mean, is it,
There's not a lot, even though we're doing projects, there's not time to do all the extension stuff that's going to get those kids to the next level.
So we're saying it's a flaw in how we're implementing the current half day?
No, I think it's a time issue. 40% of students complete their at-home assignments on a regular basis.
40%.
40%.
So, but we're basically saying the model that we had envisioned doesn't work.
That's exactly what we're saying.
60% of the parents don't do it
That's right.
or don't help.
And so it's
Students do it.
So they come to school and we have to totally redo the whole PBL model to make up for what wasn't done the night before.
And so is the new, you said the concept of a flip design is that you still have that. Even
The flipped would be
extended day
scaled
until-
back so that it's not as essential to the index outcomes. Remember, prior to when the school opened, Senate bill was passed after the school opened. So the rules changed on the accountability side.
Well, but our vision and desire didn't change, and
No.
we believe in the model. And if the model is implemented properly, it can be successful. And it seems like this year we're making strides to improve on getting the accountability part satisfied, but not losing the essence of why we designed the school the way we did.
It's time on task. It's,
Well, if that's the argument, then let's keep them till 5 is my thing.
people in this room know I would be okay with that. Okay, so the pieces that will get flipped will be some of the the non-essential courses as we move forward is the proposed design. So, but the flip piece will be less critical to the next day because what you end up having is 60% of the kids you pretty much have to reteach the whole class every day.
Or cover the flip
And it may be a
design.
maturity problem. I mean, you think about it, it may not be at the college level, graduate students do far better in that model than undergrads. It may just be,
We don't have any data on our high school. We're changing the plan before we even see.
the high school is, they have to get credits. There's a,
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I sketched out a credit. There's a way you can on an AB alternating schedule where you have 8 possible time blocks. You can get the credits in 4 years. You can get more than enough credits in 4 years. You're saying that the getting the credits from 8 to 12 we can do. It's the issue. It sounds like is getting the students to do the flip part, which is the essence, which is the majority of what the design is of this charter school.
it's a piece, yeah.
And so I guess my question is it do we think that is there a way to get parents more involved? Is there other things that we can do before just extending the day? That's what I want to know. Have we exhausted our thinking process to say there's nothing else we could do? We're not, what happens if we make this change and then this year the scores were awesome? What if we fully blow out all of the statistics that we're thinking we may not blow out, and then we change the model to now?
Well, you're just talking about 3rd grade, 4th grade, and 5th grade. Because we're saying
The middle school
secondary.
kids have the same problem with the number of courses they actually need to take, especially putting high school courses in the 8th grade. The 3 years of data with the count benchmarks indicate that the model's not working. Are there things we could invest heavy resources? We're doing all this after school. We've turned a lot of the kids are starting to think they're all being punished because they're not getting their stuff done. It's not the right message to send. To me, just extend the school day, build in the time they need to get them to a higher level.
We also limit our audience, is what we've seen through the recruitment process, is that we have a large group of parents in the community that are interested, but when we tell them that our day ends at 12, they begin to question that and whether that would work for their schedule when they work. And so that's one of the things that we've also looked at. This will probably increase the market for our district as well.
It may cut out some people though too, because a lot of people were attracted to the school. So it would be one of those
Yeah.
homeschoolers in particular to be attracted to the school by the half day.
Mhm.
because they want their children for half a day to train them themselves.
That's the 40% that are getting the work.
That's the 40% that are getting work done. So,
Even some of those are not.
We have it by kid. It's a mix.
are you seeing that it wouldn't work, or it hasn't been working to get it after school? I'm thinking this younger group, the ones that aren't getting their work done, but you can't get them up to speed, just keeping, in other words, basically half the kids to do the after school work in the afternoon and letting the other half go.
Okay, I can definitely say that we've had success with the after-school program. I mean, we're seeing that.
Well, that would be evident in this year's data. We don't know the effect of this after-school program. We didn't have that last year.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did
we
last
did.
year.
We had it from spring break until the test.
No,
We
we've
didn't
had
have
it
it
since,
for the
we've
year.
had it since August, basically.
But in here, we've
here,
had it
yeah.
the whole year.
We've
I'm
had it
talking
the
about
whole
last
year.
We came in August and said, all right, now we're going after school. I know my kid was part of that.
Yeah.
We didn't have it the whole year.
And I think when I say that we've had success with the after school, I relate that to the data that we currently have on our benchmark to show that we have.
I
had
think the
success.
terminology you are using, because I'm getting confused on what you're saying too. We have the after school program, but then we have what we call extended day, which is for our tutorial sessions.
The extended day. I
Okay.
guess.
Yes, so yes, okay. Some of those same kids we serve, they attend after school and they're an extended
Right.
day as well. So
Benchmark, help me out. I apologize. I missed last month. But how are we using the benchmark data right now to project what's going to happen? Like when you say we may get better than 16%, we may not make it to 40. My question is, how do we know that? How do we know from our benchmark data?
What we've done is we've gone through kid by kid, campus by campus, and we've highlighted the current quintile that kid is in. And also, so all of our kids that are performing in the upper quintiles, seeing, okay, if they're already there in reading, are they also there in math? Because remember, they have to be there on two tests. And targeting those kids to see if we can actually get them there on the other one. We're looking to see, okay, if they made it last year, are they showing up that they're there already on the benchmark this year or not, or how close are they? How many percentage points are they? And we're making efforts to work with those kids. But right now, we know that we'll meet state standard on index 4 because the state standard is so low. Last year it was 13, and we were at I said 16, I apologize, we were at a 17. Brian's actually shooting me what we were on the benchmark right now, so I'm waiting for that.
But it was
Got
under
in my
20.
emails, but it was like, yeah, it was still pretty low. So we are working with those kids and making valid efforts to work with those kids. But when we've got so many kids that we're concerned about for index 3, our resources are slim because we've got to get those Hispanic kids in our NCD populations to pass. So we know we'll be good in index 3. So like I said, I know we'll be fine in index 4, but we're not anywhere near what the state average is. We have looked at it kid by kid.
With the accountability system being such high stakes, the other thing is I prefer to have, this is my personal opinion, I would rather have control over instruction. And as kids get older, a lot, especially in the math, parents, in many cases, and I would say in the majority of cases, can't help their child do the math. And so that's a problem. If you notice the elementary schedule, the math time has been extended significantly. But once again, my end target is if you lay out a trajectory and for kids to be TSI ready, and if you just assume even constant growth or even a certain percentage growth, we'll never have more than about 20% of the kids able to do the primary mission, which was to get 2 years of college out of the way. They're not ever going to be eligible. They're just going to leave with a high school diploma. And that also kind of defeats the purpose of existing, because the goal was to accelerate kids to be ready to go into STEM careers. And so I think if we can put the additional time into the math and to some degree the younger grades, the language arts, and that's no different than like what Waxahachie does. I mean, at the outside of school time, there's not getting enough work done or not getting it done correctly, that it really undermines the entire project-based learning model. So we're in workshops constantly. and workshops is direct instruction, which is traditional instruction. So I'd rather have more meaningful projects that are actually PBL for longer periods of time than the flipped piece being such a big part. And I went through, and I don't know if I'd be happy in another meeting. I thought of every innovation we have tried and the outcome. Sometimes the outcome is fine. Sometimes the outcome was problematic, but not because it's educationally unsound. It's because, like on some of the financial stuff, the calendar doesn't match up with. We put ourselves at a disadvantage, and so. But in this case, I look at that index 4, which is the main thing to get these kids into college, and we're not going to get them there. So few. We'll have local high schools that will have better index 4s than us.
Mr. Flynn, thank you for coming in. We're on item 7 on the agenda.
I apologize for that. I'm sorry.
There's some lunch over there.
We're talking about we're discussing the grade level scheduling with the extended days. That's where we are at this point.
On the benchmarking index score, we were at 18.
And the benchmark tests were
Full release.
encompass full year. And release star assessments and end of course tests, I guess for our algebra we had in course.
If you look at improvements from last year's benchmark test, it was only about 15%.
Overall, we had 15% improvement. Like from our average last year versus our average this year. So
No, I'm saying we can
No.
expect the kids to do maybe 10 to 15% better on the actual test that they're taking. So in math, if they scored a 50, they might get a 60, something.
and that's with us tweaking the way that we do things this year.
Yeah,
So
and-
we get another 10, 15% next year, now we're 30%.
On a-
But it's
That's bad math.
it is bad math. Yes, it is. I'm glad you recognize that.
It goes well.
One of the things I would say is compared to last year, we were very reactive last year. Okay. This year it has been very data driven.
We were reactive at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
I get that. We've been
Yeah.
proactive throughout this year. And my main argument is that we're not allowing, this is me, my voice on the board, that we're not allowing the time to see if our proactive attack this year is going to reap the benefits that we desire. And if we didn't reach the highest standards that we desire, we then look at, well, what are our practices? You bring up PBL, and then I can't remember, what did you call traditional instruction? What did you just call it?
Workshops. Within a PBL, that's what it's called.
Well, it's just my thing is, you still have an hour of Algebra 1 on the schedule for next year, an hour every day. And I believe that it can be done, and it can be done effectively. It will take more work on the I guess more teacher focus of. I just have a belief that we don't need to extend the day just yet. I think that we need to look at more data after we've been proactive this year.
I will say we don't have time
Yeah.
from TEA. Well, no, I mean, you may be in the meeting, but
We're gonna
I get,
my goal is we're going to get out of our warning time, because there's 3 strikes in a row that you're out. And right now we have 2 strikes on us. This year we get out of it, and then we're back to square zero. We don't have any strikes against us next year.
Yeah, but the
Once we get
standards
out
are
this-
increasing. That's
Yeah,
the
but
only
that's
thing that we've
See, we're
faced.
at level 1 phase in. What the state expects right now is not much. 3 years from now, he delayed it another year this year because no one's performing statewide. When it's all said and done, in order for a kid to pass all these tests, they're going to have to score around 76% on each test.
And I'm going to stick to the essence of this school was that accountability was, for a percentage, 1/6 of 17% of our goal. And we
But the rules changed on it.
Okay. Let's seem like we're pretty committed to our positions.
Yes.
So, and the administration is going to have to move forward. They don't have much time, so we need to go ahead and cast a vote on this action item. We need to either vote for or against. So if there is anyone who's willing to make a motion on accepting this grade level schedule, the way the administration has presented it, with the extended day, we would like to hear a motion to that effect.
Motion to accept.
We have a motion to accept by Mr. Aldridge. Do we have a second?
I will.
A second by Dr. Swain. All those in favor of accepting the grade level scheduling as is from the administration, use the sign of voting aye.
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 We have 4 for making the change. Any opposed?
I'm opposed.
We have 2 opposed, 2 oppositions. Motion carried, 4-1, 4-2. Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the executive session. So at this time, the board will go into executive session under Texas Government Code 551.074 to discuss the superintendent's annual performance. We need everyone to be dismissed. Please don't go too far. Dr. Simmons, we may need you at some point during the meeting. We'll call you back.
You're fine.
I just don't want to know how to turn that off.
Oh, you,
I don't know.
you just close the lid on a Mac and it quits recording, or how does that work?
How do you turn that off? Oh, is it?
You're not turning your board.
You just press the little arrow.